Hello, everyone. I see a few of you have joined us already. We're going to give the webinar until 2:03 to make sure everyone has joined, and I'll touch back with you then. Okay, so we're approaching the 2:03 mark, and I see that most of you are on the call already. So I'm going to start. So my name is Rebecca Bartlett-Jones. I'm the Director of Green Key Global. And I have with me today my team. I have Ailey and Anu to the right of you there, both in communications with Green Key Global. And we have Jose, our auditor, online today from Control Union. So we will all be available to answer questions after the presentation. And here's your agenda. We have a welcome, just did that. An overview of Green Key. I'm going to tell you how it works. Ailey's going to take us through a walkthrough of the process. Anu's going to take us through question time. And then we're going to talk about some developments and final questions again with Anu. So I am going to begin. Thank you, Ailey. So Green Key Global, we've been around since 1994, believe it or not. Sustainability is that old, but it's really just been on tops of everyone's minds in the last few years. And what's different about Green Key Global is that we are created for hotels by hoteliers. So we really understand hotels and the struggles in the sustainability space. And we've designed our entire questionnaire to be easily used by a hotel. We are also the leading sustainable certification program in North America. So I'm going to tell you a bit how it works. So these are the areas of assessment split into society, economy, and environment. So much the same as you may be used to. Energy conservation, water conservation, solid waste management, hazardous waste management, indoor air quality, community outreach. That's changed a little bit. Community outreach is more about letting your local community know about your sustainable efforts. Building infrastructure still is all about the outside of the inside of the building and the pipes, etc. Land use can be taking that grey water from your sinks and showers and irrigating the land if you have it. And environmental management is like your corporate office or your general manager who has policies and things in place for sustainability. Then we also now cover in our new assessment ESG, CSR, and regenerative tourism. So today in the new assessment, we're going to tell you the things that are different from the way they used to be and the way that the process differs from the way it used to be. This, however, is the same. So we've split all of the assessment into the same areas, key performance areas. So you can see there the various areas. So what we normally ask is that even on renewal, that the hotel forms a green team from one representative from all of these different departments. And there's a lot of questions in engineering and a lot of questions in corporate, but there are questions throughout each. So if you have a representative from each one of these areas as a green team, they can actually answer the new questions together at the same time, as long as you keep saving the questions. And our questions have gone from about 180 questions to 200 and something, 218 or maybe 19 questions to incorporate all these new areas of sustainability that have come into play. So this is the process. This is the thing that you'll be most interested in now that you've come to renewal. There might be some new people on the webinar as well. So you renew or register online, the same way as it's always been. Our assessment is fundamentally online. So you go into the assessment and you start taking the new assessment, which is our version 4. If you've already got your version 3 done, those questions would immediately have moved over and been in your V4 assessment. So all you need to do is answer the new questions, not the old questions. However, you might have to upload some information. There's a bit more documentation that has to be uploaded. In the past, we've asked you, do you have a sustainable policy? Yes or no. Now we ask you, do you, and can you upload? So here as well, it's good to know that there is a little bit of help as you go through the assessment here. So on your right-hand side by the assessment questions, there'd be a little help guide that you can press. And if I take that first question, do you have a sustainable policy? If by chance you don't, you can download our template, take that as your own, formulate it and upload that one. So we have tools and templates for loads and loads of the questions in the assessment. There is also, if you are an IHG hotel, a Hyatt and a Core, or I think those are the main 3 currently, they all have help built into our system as well. So at the first couple of questions, there might be an IHG policy that you can download. So if you're one of those hotel chain members, you will actually have a IHG or a Hyatt or an Accor help built into the system already. Eventually, I think all hotel groups will go that way as well, but currently there are helps at the moment, and the help can only be seen if you are one of those hotels and the system recognizes the name of the hotel. So you do your assessment, you get your help, and then you submit it, and you receive a scorecard. This initial scorecard tells you your key level 3. We have 1 to 5 key levels, 1 being the lowest, 5 being the highest. Every single one of the levels is fabulous and should be recognized for great achievements in sustainability. If you're getting to key level 5, you most likely have a roof garden that supplies your restaurant. You keep bees that supply the pantry or the bakery, and things like that. So you have your scorecard and it tells you, okay, so you're score level 3, but there are these questions over here that you might want to answer that are low-hanging fruit that you haven't answered. So we'll give you some help at this point. So you can keep going back and forward and trying to up your score here if you want. But bear in mind that you want to get certified at the end of it. So you do need to move forward in the process. So once you've decided you're at the right level, you submit your assessment finally. And this brings you through to audit. Now, this is a brand new part of the process. Sustainability has moved so quickly. The standard is moving so quickly. So we have to move as well. And now it's required that every time you get assessed, you also need to be audited, which brings a lot more credibility to the program, to not only your qualification, but to the whole program qualification. So you move through to audit. Now, there is a choice here at audit now. So usually, if you were a brand new member, you will pay for audit and it would last for 3 years. If you are renewing, which the majority of people on this call are, you're one of our legacy members, audit is free for you for the next 3 years, because we've decided that as we're grandfathering you into the new process, you probably need a little bit of a break, and we're going to give you the audit for free for the next 3 years. So you submit for audit, and up comes an audit checklist, and Ailey's going to show you this in a bit, and it will show you the things that maybe you've forgotten, and you can put them back into the assessment. And at this point, the assessment locks. You're requesting your audit, and it comes within 90 to 120 days. You get your audit date, and then at that point, if you've chosen a virtual audit, which is $500, that will be completed online. But actually, you'll be walking around with a computer or a phone or a device of some kind with the auditor. So it will be a live virtual event. We actually did it the other day, and you can walk, they take you into a fridge, into a room, and they have specific things that they're going to check that they don't tell you about until you're actually online. But it's about a 4-hour process and usually costs $500, but for you, obviously, if you're renewing, it's free for the next 3 years. And then the other option is an in-person audit. Now, this in-person audit carries a huge carbon footprint with it, obviously. And as a responsible organization in sustainability, we ourselves want to reduce the carbon footprint that we have. So there is a higher price tag on the in-person audit, which is $2,500. So we will go back to that and show you the pricing later on. And you'll also receive this deck. So you've requested your audit, they've even done it virtually or they've done it on site, and they've closed the file. You will then get a certification with your level of certification on there and a performance report. The performance report is extremely important. It tells you, it's 2 halves. It tells you in the first half, this is what your property has done, all the amazing things that you've achieved in sustainability, and this is how you've been marked. So you can use that to communicate it to your staff, you can use it to communicate to guests. And then the other half of the performance report is, hey, you can do all these great things in sustainable practice and process still. So here's a list of things you can do it, how they will look, and what's expected. So it becomes a map. So this is an important document. So once you have that and you have your certificate, you can start to market your efforts. And we don't leave you at this point. We are still going to help you market your efforts, not only in your local community, to your guests. If you think about your guests and they're arriving and maybe they don't have their towels changed every day, or they're looking at the toilets and they're like, my gosh, why is there so little water in here? They need to be informed about your sustainable efforts and why they're in place. And once they're engaged, it will really make a difference and they will become part of the process with you. But unless you communicate to them, they just won't know what's going on. So we get to marketing our efforts a bit later. There's a lot more that we do, but Ailey will talk about that in a next slide. So these are some of our MSA partnerships. Hopefully I mentioned them all. But the ones that have the help are currently IHG, Hyatt and Accor, and the rest will follow. So for the process walkthrough, I'm going to hand over to Ailey, who's going to take you snapshot by snapshot of what you actually have to do in the process. Go ahead, Ailey.
Thank you, Rebecca. So right now I'm going to go through a walkthrough on how it looks from your perspective as the member. So once you log on to the members area, your dashboard will look like this. Once you're ready and you've already signed up, paid your invoice, you can take the eco rating assessment. So you just click that Get Started button. The next step, assuming that you've already taken the assessment before, will say View Assessment or Retake Assessment. Your job right now is to click Retake Assessment, and then it's going to lead you to the next screen, which will inform you that the request to retake the assessment is being processed, and you'll get a notification at your email once it is fully processed and you're able to retake the new assessment. So from there, you refresh the page or re-log back in. And then next time you click that same button on your dashboard, it will look like this. This is also how it will look if you're taking the assessment for the first time. When you click Start Assessment, the button will appear as Begin Assessment. So once you have gone through the assessment, uploaded the documentation, and answered all of the questions, you'll then get a self-assessment checklist. This tells you what you're missing and what you need to do before you can submit for the audit. So in this example's case, I forgot to mention the name of the person who completed the section and the job title of the person. So it flagged that to me on the screen. This will flag anything like missing documents, or in this case, missing information. And you'll just have to go back into the assessment and fix what's missing. And then the next time you see the checklist, it'll say that everything is all good. And the next step, step 3, is to see that score that Rebecca had mentioned. So you get a preliminary score. And if you're happy with it, you can then move on to the next step. Or you're welcome to retake the assessment as many times as you want after you've applied the changes, and then you can get a different rating. So you can either move right on to the audit from here, or you can retake the assessment to get a better score. So once you're ready, you can then book for the audit. For legacy members this year, the audit is actually complimentary and it's valid for 3 years, as you don't need to redo the audit except for every 3 years. So we highly recommend choosing the virtual audit because it's more cost effective and it's better for the environment. There's no carbon footprint associated, but you're welcome to choose whichever version is best for you and best for the brand and your property. So you choose which one you want. In this case, we recommend virtual. And then you'll receive your invoice. As a legacy member, you'll get an invoice for $0 this year if you select the virtual. And once that invoice has been paid, or if it's $0, it's just been sent over, your next step is to go back onto the same area of the dashboard and go to the Request Audit tab. And from there, you just click Request Audit. The auditor will then be in touch within 90 and 120 days to book your audit. So once you're done the audit and you've completed the assessment and audit process, you'll get your official certification within 10 business days. From there, you'll get sent the certificate, but you can also download the certificate at any point on the members area. You can also find all of the tools and resources that we have for you, including marketing materials. We have guest-facing materials that help promote sustainability initiatives to guests, like Rebecca was mentioning earlier, including stuff that we're working on, like an in-room ad that you'll be able to play in guest rooms, as well as a one-pager and a guest-facing landing page. There's also staff training and departmental checklists that can help improve your eco rating. And also, we have tools that we're building out that will be available in the new year that you'll access from here as well. So now I'm going to bring it back to Rebecca to talk about some of our upgrades and developments.
Yep, so keeping pace with sustainable evolution, as I had mentioned. So one of the biggest achievements with our new assessment, previously we were aligned with 7 of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which is still good. But in our newest iteration of the assessment, we actually are aligned with all of them. So once you've taken your assessment, you can be assured and you can communicate to your guests that you are aligned in some way with every one of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which are the fundamentals for sustainability. So these are some of our key developments and new things that we've been doing. So we now have the rigorous online audit process that we just explained to you, and the user improvements, they're interactive and intuitive on the actual assessment itself. It's actually easier to move around in there now too. And we can have as many users as you want using it at the same time, as long as you remember to save it. And now the upgraded areas are corporate and social responsibility, ESG, diversity, and community, which are very important new areas of sustainability. One of the other things that we've done is we've expanded our supplier program to your benefit. So what we've done is we've made everybody on our supplier program and all future suppliers or vendors sign a mandatory code of conduct, which means that they are swearing that they are a green supplier. So along with our vetting and their signature on the code of conduct, you can be assured that everybody that is on our supplier list in all the different areas, be it waste management, be it helping you with changing your incandescent lighting into LEDs, any of these suppliers, even if they're products, they are vetted by us and they are a green vendor. So these are some of the exciting things that we've also been putting into place. You'll be getting announcements and advice on new webinars and enhanced member resources. So we now have scientists and experts in sustainability coming on doing webinars and giving papers and all kinds of advice for us, which is really exciting. We're upgrading and aligning our meetings program. It's going to be aligned with the Global Sustainable Tourism Council, which is our standard for everything that we do. We have some new data information. In the future, you'll be able to, and your corporate offices will be able to pull reports on performance metrics and how well you did in one area against another. You actually do get those reports from us upon request and at the end of your audit anyways, but this way you'll be able to just log in and get them, and that will be in the new year. We have new calculators. We have a carbon accounting calculator, which is free. We also have a service by BMO Radical, which is at a reduced rate, just to help you through that carbon accounting process if you need it. And then we have a return on investment calculator. This is pretty cool. Say, for example, you were looking for solar power at your hotel. It asks you a number of questions about solar power. It would give you the long and short-term investments that you need to make, and it will give you the long and short-term gains that you would gain. It might say to you, oh, you're in the shade, you're in an alleyway here, you've got no access to sun, so it's not a good idea. The other thing that we are really excited about is our carbon neutral event certification. It's completely brand new, but with carbon neutral event certification, individual events can actually, at your property, so it could be a meeting, could be a congress, it could be a large event, a wedding, it could be anything. These events can actually be declared carbon neutral by Green Key Global. So it is a form of a calculator. You will go into the calculator and answer a number of questions. So the questions might be, who are your attendees and where do they come from? What mode of transport do they use? What is your menu? Does it have a vegan component? Are you using bulk amenities for your water and jams, etc., or do you still have those smaller ones? And asking you all that type of question. Who is your AV supplier? Are you buying locally? And once all those questions are answered, it will give you a carbon footprint for your individual event. And at that point, there will be a discussion on changing behavior. Should you change behavior, and how would that be done before your event? Then after that process is complete, you'll be guided to a carbon zero page, which is our carbon offset supplier, to purchase carbon offsets for the remainder of the carbon footprint to actually bring you then to zero. So your event will be carbon neutral. There'll be a certificate, and you'll be able to stand up at the beginning of your event and say, hey, this event is carbon neutral, and it's quite impressive. Thank you, Ailey. So Ailey's actually going to jump back in here and tell you all the great things that we're going to send to you.
So following this webinar, we're going to send you a copy of the presentation as well as a Dropbox link with the following information and pages. So we have a wide variety of info pages that you can use to understand more about the program, but also help talk about the program with staff and with guests. So that involves program information pages on all of our different program offerings, including the new one that Rebecca just talked about, carbon neutral certification. We also have staff onboarding pages that help you with transition to new staff members to help keep them up to speed on everything that you're doing regarding sustainability. We also have guest-facing materials. So that includes the stuff I mentioned earlier. So the guest-facing one-pager, as well as we're building out a guest-facing landing page on our website and guest-facing in-room ads. There's also a what to expect document with guidance video links. That document just goes through a high level of what we talked about today, as well as some really helpful videos that walk through the process. There's also a general and audit FAQs. If you have any questions, it might be answered in that FAQ already, so it's definitely worth a read through, as well as the mandatory questions. So the mandatory questions are part of our assessment that must be answered in order to pass the assessment, such as a sustainability policy. Now, everything that we have that is a requirement, there usually is a template for. So when you're taking the assessment, there's a little help option, and that will have a template for a sustainability policy, for example. But that mandatory question document helps you understand what you need before you start taking the assessment, so you can make sure that everything is in order. There's also Green Key branding assets that you can add to social media as well as your website to promote your certification with us. Like Rebecca mentioned earlier, sustainability is something that you really need to talk about with your guests so that they know what you're doing. So talking about your certification is the first step in that. There's also departmental checklists that you can use on a day-to-day. It's different policies and practices in different departments that can help boost your initiatives. Along with the info pages, there's also animated videos. So this includes an About Green Key Global video talking about sustainability at your hotel. This video is really helpful to learn how to talk about it with staff and with guests. About carbon neutral events. So a video walkthrough of that new program that we're offering. Being sustainable in different areas of your hotel. This video is a really fun video that talks about different tips about how to be sustainable in all kinds of different areas, as well as some interesting stats. And then, as I mentioned earlier, the assessment and audit walkthrough videos. We're also going to be adding the in-room ads once they're finalized, as well as a toolkit that will have everything that you need all in one place. This includes the templates, this includes the info pages, and some copy on social media posts, website, if you want to put information on your website about your certification, as well as a press release draft. So that toolkit will really be everything that you need all in one place.
Fabulous. We just want to mention that also for all of our new members, we now plant a tree in the name of our charity, One Tree Planted. So we're getting quite the little forest together as well. I just want to point out, and Jose, if you could just turn your camera on for a second. So our auditors are definitely not the devil, and they really are here to help. And Jose, if you want to have a couple of words to the audience, just to let them know the brief process, how you help them, and you're really not there to pick holes in what they do.
Hello. Well, during the audit, basically what we do on the audit is verify the answers on your self-assessments, and the auditors are there to find evidence of compliance. Again, as Rebecca mentioned, all we do is just find evidence of compliance against the self-assessment, and if the answer doesn't match, you just make the observation. Evidence during the audit would be documentation review, interviews, and observation, because we should do a little facility tour. And all we do is verify the answers of your questions, pretty much. Yes, it should be an easy process.
Thank you, Jose. You see, he's not so bad. So Anu, if we could move to questions, please, if you could bring your camera on. And I think you might want to start us off with a couple of questions already.
Yes, we do have one question right now. Actually, we have two. But one question is concerning the virtual audit. The person wants to know if they would have to be on a video call for 4 hours with the auditor while the audit is going on.
Yes, that is a requirement. So you would be on the call. I mean, you don't need to be holding it all the time. There'll be some times when you're sitting down in front of your computer, but absolutely make sure you have a cord plugged in there. Jose, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's just, yes, the person responsible for the audit should be with the auditor on the call for the 4 hours that the audit lasts. And also, additionally, it will be ideal, and we can, use the phones or computers, but it will be ideal also to do like a video tour with a phone, just to verify a couple of things. And we do that all the time in Country Union, something that we implemented during COVID. So definitely virtual audits are feasible, and we can fulfill the objective of the audit through these means or these tools.
Thank you.
The next question says, can the assessment, documents, and audits be taken in French?
100% they can. Yes, we've got everything in French. And I do apologize that we don't have this webinar in French for you today. But we will actually have our next few webinars will likely even have subtitles, which isn't perfect for you, but we are trying to get this in French as well moving forward. We do have a few more webinars that we're going to put together. But in answering your question, absolutely.
We have another question from Justin Mueller. I apologize if I did not pronounce that right, but he wants to know, how is the account set up? That is the question. We're not sure what account you mean, but the question just says, how is the account set up?
If you mean how is your profile set up, it's when you register, all the information that you give at registration moves forward into our system, and it sets up a profile for you. You have to put in a password and a username, And then you can go onto our website to the members section and enter your profile through that username and password, if that's what you mean. I think it is.
If you're unsure of your username and password, you'll get a copy of this presentation, and our emails are hyperlinked. You can just email me and ask for your login credentials, and I'll be happy to send it over.
Yes, he or she clarified that it was profile.
Okay.
We have another question saying, when collecting make or model or serial numbers for hot water tanks, or our engineering team was wondering if this refers to the smaller commercial hot water tanks, the ones often installed in the ceilings of kitchenettes, for example, or is it the larger hot water tanks that are stored in the DHW?
Jose, you can take that one.
Yeah, both. We do, that's the idea of if it's an on-site audit, that's the idea of the tour, verify all those tanks. Anything with water and electricity, the requirements or the documents that we should check that are efficient.
Fabulous. Thank you, Jose.
Someone would like to know, how do you schedule your audit?
How do we share it?
How do we schedule the audits? No. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, I don't quite understand it. How do we share the audit?
How do you? They would like to schedule an audit. So they want to know how. Sorry.
Got it. Okay, so how you schedule your audit is in the process that Ailey showed you. So if you want to go back, Ailey, to that screen. So when you've finished your assessment, you submit for your audit. And this is the screen you come to, Ailey.
So the screen that you come to, once you've chosen which type of audit, whether you want virtual or on-site, the next step is to click request audit. And then from there, the auditor will be in touch to actually schedule a date. So when you're ready and you've already paid the invoice or received the $0 invoice, if you're a legacy member, then your next step will be to click that request audit button, and then you'll get an email with the additional information on how to get your actual date and time scheduled in.
Jose, do you email or do you call the hotel? Jose, do you actually give a call to the hotel or do you email them when they request an audit?
The first approach will be an email. And if there is no response to the email, we call. Well, we do one email first, second follow-up email after 2 days. And if we don't get an answer after 2 days, we call the folks. Yes.
Fabulous. We know how busy you are, so we keep on at you.
Oh, no worries. Once they confirm the date of the audit, 2 weeks after the audit, the auditor will contact the property, will provide further information with a package of all the documents that should be ready for the audit. The idea is that you folks are ready for the audit, so this can be effective. Like, we have to do the audit. We can't accomplish or conduct the audit in 4 hours. And we will provide you all the information that we will review during the audit, so you have it ready for the audit. And in that time, we can save time and be more efficient. Yes.
Thank you.
We have a question from Katie. She would like to know, is there a timeline to complete this whole process once you start?
Not really. No, there isn't. But if you wanted to get the free audit, you should do it this year. So you can get that free audit in without having to pay for the next 3 years. But after that, no. You can take as long as you want. But we do obviously recommend that you move forward to the new V4 assessment, as it has all of the new areas of sustainability built into it.
Keeping in mind with that your certification isn't official until you've completed the process. So if you're a new hotel, you won't officially be certified until the audit is complete. So keep that in mind in your timeline. We don't have a timeline, but if you want to be certified by a certain date, then just keep in mind that it won't be official until the whole process is complete.
Exactly. Thank you, Ailey. But if you're renewing, you keep your original status that you have right now until the process is complete.
Rachel wants to know, will we know when the schedule of the audit? Will we know the schedule of the audit? Our property is 500 acres and will take time to travel to different audit locations. I would need to schedule with my leaders ahead of time to ensure that they're available during the audit process. For instance, engineering 1 hour, F&B 30 minutes, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. Jose, jump in.
Yes, ideally, yes. It depends on, we can accommodate to whatever is more convenient to the person or the company we've been audited. It will be definitely easier if one, and that happens most of the time, if one person, who is in charge can answer all the questions. But yeah, ideally, if not, other persons should be able to attend to the meeting, and we will provide all those details on the audit plan. Yes.
Ira wants to know how long the initial assessment takes, and because this will be their first assessment.
Oh, hi, Era, welcome. And we should have planted a tree for you very recently, so you should get that information. Yeah, so it really is up to the hotel. So I can't give you a straight answer, unfortunately, on that. But we've seen audits take anywhere, assessments take anywhere from a couple of days to a couple of months. It really depends on you, how much information you have available. If you have a sustainability plan already done, you've answered that question, you've done, boom, you've moved forward. Also, if it depends on your hotel, how busy you are. Do you have the bandwidth to have someone from each department answering their questions with their expertise, or are they going to report to you as the general manager or whomever is actually filling out the assessment? Are you going to do all the filling out? So it is dependent, but typically, like I'd say, the typical amount of time is 2 to 3 weeks.
Rachel will also like to know, for the handicapped accessibility certification question, are you looking for a permit or a report on the audit? We have many different facilities on the property, so we may need to show multiple permits for each location on property.
Again, added evidence will be documentation review and observation. So that we can do either through observation and also any documentation as additional evidence. It's good too.
Thank you.
Karen wants to know how long is the free audit available for? Is it 1 calendar year? What is the deadline to schedule an audit?
So yeah, it's a calendar year, but the deadline is the end of this year.
Bob
Calendar
wants
year
to
from
know.
renewal.
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
I'm done.
Bob wants to know if there's a sample sustainability plan they can use to see as an example or a template.
If you're a brand new hotel, for the policy, if that's what you mean, if it's sustainable policy that you mean, there's a template in the assessment next to the first question. So you would just press the help button and it would download a sample template for you that you can take as your own and adapt for yourself.
And we have one more question to go. So the person wants to know if we have already submitted our assessment and scheduled our audit, but we have updated documentation tracked down by our team to submit. Can we present this during the virtual audit?
I think so, but Jose, please say yes or no.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Someone wants to know if after scheduling their audit, and they have updated documentation, can they present the updated documentation during the virtual audit?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I thought that was the way, just double checking.
I actually have a follow-up question to that, Jose. What's the best way to get it to you? Would it be during the audit or sending it in advance to you?
Definitely sending an advance to the auditor will be ideal. We always request that, and there is a confidentiality agreement in every audit that we do. So all information shared with the auditor will be treated as confidential information. So you folks can send those documents beforehand for the auditor to review, or you can have them ready during the audit so the auditor can review it. So you can send it or you can have it ready for the audit. Yeah.
Fabulous.
We have 2 more questions. So Katie
What
wants to know...
What I did forget to mention, I'm sorry, that it's usually in our process, it's not mandatory that you send the documents before the audit. It's optional. It's not mandatory, but you could if you want to. It will help.
It helps. It helps. Yeah.
So she wants to know, if we schedule the audit this year as a legacy member, do we also have to complete the audit by the end of the year to qualify?
No.
Oh, and then one last question. Our self-assessment has been completed, but just submitted for audit. It says it will be scheduled within 90 days. Are we safe to say that we have completed or in compliance with completing our certification, or is this process not complete until we have had our audit?
The process is not, well, the process is complete up to the point of audit, but your certification will not be granted until you've had your audit completed.
Those are all the questions we have right now in the Q&A section.
Well, we have some great questions. I'm so glad that our auditor is online, so he can answer some of those questions as well in person, which is great. Well, all that's left really is to thank very much everybody that was on this call. Ailey will be following up with all those documents she talked about so that you can communicate this to other members of your team, guests, etc. And we'll also be copying this desk to you with those documents so that you can go over what we've been saying here. So again, thank you very much for your participation, and we are all available for you for any questions that you have moving forward. Oh, we've got one more, I think. Anu?
Apologies, we have one more question. The person wants to know if the virtual audit is via Zoom.
Yes, we can do Zoom, Windows, Teams, Skype, whatever means are necessary. Yes.
Right. Okay, a few more seconds in case there's any more last minute questions. This is great. Okay, well, if you wanted to, well, one more.
Just a thank you.
You're welcome.
Is that another question? Oh, okay.
No, it was
All
a comment.
No, it was. Okay, fantastic. All right, well, thank you very much. And any questions, just give us a call or an email.
Thank you. Bye.